Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Prime Video. And let's get to the list. Dave Made a Maze is a 2017 fantasy comedy horror movie. Directed by Bill Watterson, it stars Nick Thum, Mira Rohit Kubani, and Adam Bush. Dave, an artist who has yet to complete anything significant in his career, builds a fort in his living room, only to wind up trapped inside his fantastical cardboard creation.
Hey! What the?
Hey, baby! Welcome home!
What is this?
I built a labyrinth.
Have you been working on this all weekend?
I'm lost.
It's cardboard.
I know, but it's much bigger on the inside.
This movie is an absolute blast. It's one of those rare films where it just feels like a joy to watch because it's funny and silly while being extremely creative. The artist involved in this just did an amazing job. All the different cardboard things that they create without giving anything away, there is just so many layers to what that means. They just did so many different wonderfully creative concepts in this movie. And it does get horror, but all done in a fun, kind of silly way. So this is not a scary movie. It's not a dread-filled movie or anything that's gonna make you uncomfortable. Instead, it's a creative journey, a very fun, fantastical ride, and one that I highly, highly recommend.
We square. We're square.
The Passenger is a 2023 thriller. Directed by Carter Smith, it stars Kyle Gallner, Johnny Berchtold, and Liza Well. A man is forced to face his fears and confront his troubled past, while trying to find a way to survive when his coworker snaps and goes on a killing spree.
Why are you doing this?
Because, Randy, I have been watching you. You are 20 years old, and you are already more pathetic than every person in this godforsaken town, and that bugs me.
This is a very intense, layered, emotional movie. Kyle Gallner especially just is brilliant in this. He's one of these rising stars that I just see more and more of, and every time I see him in something, I just come away feeling really impressed because I think he was great in Smile as well as a bunch of other films. But this is one where he's really front and center and gets to really show off his acting chops. But this gets brutal, violent, and dark. It's uncomfortable and upsetting, but definitely a well done film that's absolutely worth your time. In Fabric is a 2018 dark comedy horror movie. Written and directed by Peter Strickland, it stars Marion John Baptiste, Haley Squires, and Julian Barrett. In Fabric is a haunting ghost story set against the backdrop of a busy winter sales period in a department store and follows the life of a cursed dress as it passes from person to person with devastating consequences.
The dress is your image onto what you project through an illusion.
I'm just going on a date. I don't normally wear this kind of thing.
In a lot of ways, this reminds me of almost like a Tales from the Crypt or a Twilight Zone kind of story, but it's more layered and complex than that. It's very artistic and beautifully shot and directed, but that's what we've come to expect from any A24 movie. And it's also a little bit of a slow burn. It definitely has a dark comedy flair to it though. It's not straight up a horror movie by any means, but it does still have its uncomfortable, creepy, weird, and twisted moments. But if you're a fan of A24 like I am, and for whatever reason have just yet to see this one, I think you should absolutely add it to your list.
I just want him to be gone.
Daniel Isn't Real is a 2019 psychological horror movie. Directed by Adam Egypt Mortimer, it stars Miles Robbins, Patrick Schwarzenegger, and Sasha Lane. A man suffers a violent family trauma and resurrects his childhood imaginary friend to help him cope, but soon he begins to question his reality.
shouldn't be afraid of your imagination.
You're something so much more interesting. What's that thing behind me?
Your shadow.
This is one of my favorite hidden gems to recommend. It's one that really just never gets talked about, but I think it's really interesting, well done. It's one of those mindfuck movies that'll get under your skin and just mess with you after you're done seeing it. Because it's creative and twisted. It takes you on this fun visual journey as you question what is reality along with the main character. I also want to mention Patrick Schwarzenegger. I think he is fantastic in this. And yeah, that is Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, but he is just so full of charisma in this and just jumps off the screen. So I think this movie is a lot of fun and definitely one to check out.
You don't think I'm a bad person?
All I think is that I love you.
Bones and All is a 2022 romantic adventure horror movie. Directed by Luca Guadagnino, it stars Taylor Russell, Timothée Chalamet, and Mark Rylance. The story is about a pair of young cannibals who flee together on a road trip across the country and begin to develop feelings for each other.
When the cops get here, you have to be good and gone.
I can't help you anymore.
I know it's not your fault. You were born this way. You ate them. I believed you had to. I don't know why.
I think it is a real crime how little this movie is talked about. I don't really quite get it. I know it is gruesome. I know it's uncomfortable. And I know that because of that, it wasn't pushed at all by the studio. But this is well shot. It's well directed. The pacing is fantastic. The cast really shines in this. Every single one of them just have their moment in the sun in this. And with everyone buzzing right now about Dune Part 2 and Timothée Chalamet and all of that, I think this movie right here is my favorite performance from him. And his chemistry with Taylor Russell is fantastic as well. But this movie gets so dark and twisted and uncomfortable, and there are so many scenes in this that just make your skin crawl, especially from Mark Rylance. He is just absolutely terrifying in this movie. And it's so unique in the way it sets up this universe and the way it talks about these cannibals. It's just really captivating and enthralling. So if you're one of those out there that had yet to see this one, do yourself a favor and make it the next thing that you watch.
If you're born in this town, you're cursed. I'm ending this. Tonight.
It ain't over.
Dark Harvest is a 2023 fantasy horror movie. Directed by David Slade, it stars Casey Likes, Emery Crutchfield, Elizabeth Reeser, and Jeremy Davies. In a small, Midwestern town, a deadly annual ritual unfolds when the mythical nightmare Sawtooth Jack rises from the cornfields and challenges the teenage boys to a bloody battle of survival.
It must die so we can live. Your sacred duty is to take down Sawtooth Jack before that church bell rings at midnight.
I've talked about this a couple times now over the last few months, but I wanted to mention it one more time here because it's finally free now if you have a membership on Prime. Because back when I was talking about it before, it was still a rental, so you had to spend $6-7 to rent it. And so I know a number of people just skipped it because of that. But this movie is a lot of fun. It's a perfect Halloween time of year watch. So if you're one of those like me that's jonesing for fall to get here and Halloween season to get here, this is fun because it takes you into that world and just gives you kind of a little taste of that season. It's full of atmosphere. It's creepy. It reminds me in a lot of ways of Pumpkinhead, but it definitely does enough of its own thing, looks different enough that it isn't like ripping that off by any means. I just feel like it kind of feels like it lives in that same universe. But I think this movie is a lot of fun and one that you'll have a great time with.
It's your job to keep him alive. Then open the goddamn door.
Should we get started?
Infinity Chamber is a 2016 sci-fi psychological thriller. Written and directed by Travis Malloy, it stars Christopher Soren Kelly, Cassandra Clark, and Kaharda Lindsay. The story is about a man trapped inside of an automated prison who must outsmart the computer in order to escape.
You can't keep me here without telling me why. I have rights. at least the right to know why I was brought here.
I don't have that information.
This is another brain teaser that keeps you guessing, keeps you trying to figure out what's going on throughout the entire movie. And this is a small movie. Most of this takes place just really in this one room with this guy talking to this computer. But for as small as it is, it goes in a lot of different directions and does some things that I think will surprise you. So if you enjoy one location, mind benders, this is a fantastic pick. The Collector is a 2009 horror movie. Directed by Marcus Dunstan, it stars Josh Stewart, Michael Riley Burke, and Andrea Roth. The film follows a man who, in order to pay a debt, decides to rob a house, only to find out someone with far more sinister intentions has already broken in. This movie is depraved, it's gruesome, it's twisted, it's absolutely savage, and it's one that I know a lot of you have already seen. But I don't want this movie to ever die. I want to continually, every so often, just throw it out there for anyone out there that is yet to see it. Because if you're a fan of brutality, movies like Saw and Hostel, where you just see these depraved things happening to people, you enjoy that style of horror movie, then this is right up your alley. It's also well performed and extremely intense. And the sequel to this is great as well. Unfortunately, they were supposed to be working on a third. They even started shooting it from what I know. And then with the pandemic and everything in 2020, I'm not sure what exactly happened, but they basically just buried it, stopped filming it, and I haven't heard anything about them continuing to make it ever since. And I think it's a real shame because The Collector is one of the most horrifying horror villains we've had in the last 20 years or so. I just think there's so much you can still do with this character, so I hope at some point it gets revived and we get to see more in this universe. But like I said, if you're a fan of horror movies and you have yet to see this one, it should be at the top of your list.
Look who got beat with the ugly stick. Is that you, Bob? I can't believe such a teeny wee little gun makes such a big mess out of someone.
Freeway is a 1996 dark comedy thriller, written and directed by Matthew Bright. It stars Kiefer Sutherland, Reese Witherspoon, and Brooke Shields. It's a twisted take on Little Red Riding Hood, with a teenage delinquent on the run from a social worker traveling to her grandmother's house, while being hounded by a charming yet sadistic serial killer.
Well, I think I can help you, but you're going to have to trust me. You're going to have to let me in.
I just recently rewatched this for the first time in quite a while, and I was just reminded on what a fantastic little movie this is. It's so entertaining. It is hilarious at times. It's uncomfortable as all hell. I mean, there are a few scenes in this that definitely will make your skin crawl. It's also intense and just a wild journey. And Reese Witherspoon and Kiefer Sutherland both just give incredible performances, just iconic performances in this. But there are so many moments in this that are memorable, just so entertaining, so much fun to watch. So if you enjoy weird, uncomfortable, twisted thrill rides, this is one you should definitely check out.
We won't survive re-entry.
But it could.
Good night. Noises everywhere.
Life is a 2017 sci-fi horror movie. Directed by Daniel Espinosa, it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, and Rebecca Ferguson. A team of scientists aboard the International Space Station discover a rapidly evolving life form that caused extinction on Mars, and now threatens all life on Earth.
Look how fast it's growing. Every single cell is a muscle cell and a nerve cell.
All muscle, all brain.
This is one that I'm always surprised how little buzz I hear about it, especially with the cast that it has. And maybe it's because of the way it was marketed. Maybe it's because of the cast, people expecting something different than what they got. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because it's not anything super serious. It's just a fun action sci-fi thriller. but I think it still really holds up. I mean, the special effects, the way things look, it gets creepy and chilling and exciting. It's heart-pounding and intense. It has style and charm and looks fantastic. It's just a fun popcorn kind of movie, and one that I think is perfect for your Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week, I also want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys absolutely mean the world to me. And if you would like to find out how you can help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description. Or if you want to become a channel member and help support the channel that way for a few bucks, there's a button right down there that says join. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. And if you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me talk about 10 more movies that you gotta see. And I'll see you guys next time.